If you guys want to get into real estate investing, but for some reason you don't know how, today I'm going to share with you 3 different properties that I purchased in 3 different ways. Now, the coolest thing about how I've purchased these properties is all 3 of them, I did not use any of my credit. So that is not going to be a hurdle for you in this. Now, some of you guys are not buying property because, you haven't filed your taxes, or you might owe something to the IRS. The cool thing is I did not have to, show any of my tax statements for this as well. And then lastly, some of you all might need proof of income in order to buy a house, and I didn't have to show proof of income for these strategies either. So if you guys are ready to get in this, so that way you can learn how to buy real estate without having to use your own money or use your own credit or tax statements, let's talk about it. It's your boy Sawan Belcher. This is me taking action right here on YouTube, where we actually share with you how to make as much money as you want during a 30-day period of time while you cherry pick the very best real estate deals for yourself. Now, if you want to get into real estate investing, go ahead and like and subscribe so that way you can see more videos like this pop up in your feed. And if you want to really dominate, go to our website, thisismetakinaction.com, and download our free purchase agreement that we've used to buy hundreds of houses, off market. Now, house number 1, it was one of my very first houses that I purchased with a title issue. Okay, you see, whenever you're buying property, typically you'll have to go through a title search with a title company or with an attorney. And typically what they're doing is they're verifying ownership. And then a lot of times ownership is had through probate or through someone passing away and heirs inheriting that. And the probate process can be a little bit long, especially when there's multiple siblings and cousins and friends that's supposed to get a share, or even when somebody dies. See, in this particular case, we knew exactly who the heirs were, and it was both 2 brothers. Okay, the problem was not that neither one of them didn't want to sign, but the second brother, who was the one who wasn't mature, had actually repoed a Ford. Okay, he repoed a Ford Focus. When Ford found out that the brother inherited a house and they had just took on this repo, they attached that debt to the house as a judgment, so that way they could possibly collect if the family was going to sell. And because of that, I could not wholesale the deal. See, I had originally contracted as a cash deal. I already had a buyer lined up. I was supposed to make $12,000, but of course the car loan, I think, was about $18,000. Now the thing is, the seller still wanted to sell. So what happens now? What I offered him, or what I got curious. So what I ended up doing was I asked the attorney, well, look, man, since he still wants to sell, how do I go about doing this transaction? Well, he said, if you really don't care about having title insurance, then he can always just sign the deed over to you and you can just take over his payments. And that right there got me super duper excited. Okay, that got me super duper excited. When I asked him, if the seller was okay with this, he said, well, sure, because the mortgage is still in my mom's name. Okay, so all I need is just a little cash so we can walk away. I end up paying him and the brother $1,000, so they got $500 each. I paid Kenneth Lucas $550 to do the title work, and then boom, we had us a house. Now, in order for me to get that $1,000, what I end up doing when I put that property up on Facebook Marketplace, and I got me a rent-to-own tenant. Okay. Turns out the guy that I end up getting as a rent-to-own tenant was one of my contractors that I used at the time. He gave me $5,000 as an option fee and paid me $800 a month for 2 years. That ended up paying off the house. Property number 2 is actually a property that I purchased in the neighborhood that I lived in at the time, in Greensboro, right off of Sharp Road in Youngs Mill. Okay, see, the thing is, we had just moved to the neighborhood and we were really, really anxious to go faster with real estate. That house that we were in was our second house and we were looking to buy our 3rd one. And so we were hunting. The way you hunt is you find property that, may look down, gutters might be hanging down, grass might be growing up, or you might be able to see all the way through the windows. There's no curtains or blinds and it looks empty. And see, that's what we did in that neighborhood. So we kind of canvassed the neighborhood for houses like that, and we had 3 suspects. We put them into our Deal Machine app. You can use the app as well. Just go to dealmachine.com/taking action, and you can find the owners of vacant houses as well. We end up finding the owner of one, a little white house right there on the corner, and we ended up agreeing to a purchase price. Now, I was a little nervous at the time because these two houses that I've owned up to that point, I've used like loans for, because those houses was in good shape. But his house wasn't necessarily in good shape. The Duke Energy wasn't even on. So I was a little nervous about it. But I went full force with faith and God, got it under contract, took it over to state employees, hoping to get a mortgage loan, and I got denied. See, I end up going over to church and praying to God if somebody would send me away to close on this property. And Mr. James Cox told me, well, hey man, did you know you can sell the paper? Now, since I wasn't able to get a loan for it, Mr. Cox told me I could sell the paper. And what that simply means was I could find someone else who was willing to buy the house. And because I had the property under contract, I now have the property under my control. You see, ownership and control is held through paper. So once you have it under contract, it's just a purchase agreement. That means you can now sell that property before you even own it. I didn't know that. So I went down to the local RIA. I told them about this deal that I had on a contract, and somebody raised their hand and says, hey, I'll give you a deposit, $1,000 deposit to buy the contract from you. Literally 2 weeks later, he bought all of the money to close on the property, and I was left with the remainder. The seller got what they were promised, and I also got a hunk of change too. That's the day when I discovered assigning contracts and wholesaling. And the last house I want to talk about is one that I actually purchased, I rehabbed, and I sold. Okay, now on the front end, when I actually purchased a property, I actually purchased it and I got it under contract with my Buy Triad Homes LLC. And then I assigned it to my partnership LLC. So I got paid on the front end of it. Now that part is not amazing. But the part that I want to speak about is after I got it all fixed up, I put it on the MLS. Now this house it's like the biggest house in the neighborhood, and I wanted to price it right. I didn't want to price it too high because I wanted it to go. I wanted to sell. I thought the house was worth about $235. My realtor said, hey, I think it's more about $220. So we made the decision to put it up and list it for $219. Now, shout out to this seller and whoever the seller's realtor is, because they did this strategy perfectly. This is like almost exactly what I would have done if I wanted to do like a no money down deal, but I was willing to use my credit. So she went and got approved for FHA loan. So FHA loans, they're like government backed loans, and they typically have like a 3.5% to 8% down requirement. You do need your last 2 years of taxes, but all you got to have is a 610 or above credit score. Now, some people say 580, I know, but realistically, they want you to be at a 610 because your credit does fluctuate. And during underwriting, you need to be above a 580. So if you're at a 610, you're fluctuating up and down. Okay. So what she did was she made an offer, okay, of $233,000. Mind you, I put the property up for $219. So she's making an offer above what we wanted. But this is what she did. Inside of your purchase agreement, there's more than just price. You can put your due diligence amount, which is your non-refundable earnest money. You can put your time frame to close, but you can also put in seller credits and contingencies as a part of your offer in order to influence them on helping them, take your offer or not. And so one of her contingencies was contingent on us allowing that additional $14,000 to be used as a seller credit on the HUD. Now, what this does is it allows her to create money. Okay. And this is the beautiful thing about real estate, because this is paper. So on the HUD, the final receipt at closing, it looks like she's bringing $14,000 down. It looks like she's using $14,000 of her own money to pay for whatever she needs on that day. Maybe it's a down payment, maybe it's closing costs, maybe it's appraisal, inspection, or whatever. Maybe it's whatever. And so to the bank, it looks like that $14,000 she's using as her down payment. So that's how you get into buying real estate with no money out of pocket. Now, if you guys want to learn how to do this for yourselves, okay, once again, you can download our off-market purchase agreement, or I'll leave a link below to our course bundle. Is on sale right now for $6.99 to show you guys how you can buy your next Airbnb property, rental property, or your next personal home, or your next fix and flip with no money out of pocket. Peace, y'all. See y'all later.